Hello.
Hello and welcome to Nerdabout Episode 2. This is now sponsored by Lucky Duck Games. Just as a reminder, Lucky Duck has an amazing slew of new games coming out. Tranquility Ascent, the sequel to Tranquility, Captain Obvious, The Dark Quarter is delivering soon, an absolutely amazing occult cooperative game, and Lucky Duck just announced they're going to be releasing Potions of Azurland into retail. Nerdabout is a show about travel, food, culture, and general geekitude. We are three good friends within the board gaming industry who, through chance, magic, and mystery, have ended up in some absolutely amazing cities. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, I'm Daryl Andrews. I design a bunch of board games, most known for Sagrada, and I also do consulting for Meister Media. And Essen, Germany, is the 9th largest city in Germany with a population of almost 600,000.
Hello, everyone. I'm Beneeta Kaur. I'm a board game Twitch streamer and social media consultant. And the Essen Motor Show is one of the largest automotive exhibitions in Europe.
And I'm Corey Thompson, co-owner of Above Board TV, co-host of Board Game Insider, and author of the interview website Dice Tower Dish. Although it is the German verb to eat, the city of Essen's oldest known name is Astmide, referring to either a region with many ash trees or in the far east of the Frankish Empire.
You have the most interesting facts, Corey. I love it so much.
Of course. I was really excited when you said it translated to eat. I was in for that.
Yeah.
I wish it just meant eating because I love eating in Essen.
Yeah.
So,
Corey, what is this background? Tell us about this background that you have right now.
Oh, so I'm actually sitting in one of the lounges in the Sacramento airport on my way to Iceland. In an hour and a half, I'm going to be flying internationally. So this is a true travel podcast.
Podcast because I am currently, if you can tell, in a hotel room in Vegas for the World Series of board gaming, which we talked about in last week's episodes. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it on our YouTube channel. And Daryl, where are you headed to soon?
I'm just at home, but I am headed to catch up to Corey. My flight's not until the morning or tomorrow to go to Iceland. So I have one last night to do my laundry and pack last minute.
I'll warm up the island for you.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm very jealous. I will not be at Iceland. I get home like Thursday night from Vegas, and I leave Monday morning to Essen. And it's like I literally just go home to do laundry. That is my sole purpose of going home.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about our city of choice this week, Essen, Germany, in celebration of the upcoming Essen Game Convention. So I'm going to start with sites and hotels around Essen. As far as hotels go, there's a lot of really neat, quirky hotels around Essen that are just really cool to talk about. My personal favorite is this little tiny hotel called the Hotel Lorenz. It is an automatic hotel, which means that you, through email online, figure out your room. But when you show up, there's just an unlabeled door with a keypad. And you type in the keypad, the number they've given you, it pops a key out. You go up to your room. There's no desk. There's no lobby. You just go to your room. And it's a nice little secret hotel because it is right next door to one of the center points for meetings and food and drink, Fitzpatrick's Irish Pub. One of the other, like the famous hotel at Essen is the Atlantic Hotel. This is actually the hotel that is closest to the convention center. And for various reasons, I don't stay at the Atlantic Hotel.
Why is that? Why is that, Corey? I also will not stay there.
I have been banned from the Atlantic Hotel. The short story is every year, or during COVID, a lot of people had set up rooms at various hotels, and the Atlantic Hotel was very popular, being right next to the convention center. So when COVID happened, all those rooms had to be canceled, and the Atlantic Hotel famously did not refund anybody. So people publishers lost tens of thousands of dollars. And
designers lost money.
Designers. I will just say one person has ever got their money back from the Atlantic Hotel. Ever. And coincidentally, I'm not allowed back at the Atlantic Hotel. So
that is like my favorite, like one of my favorite memories. Like you just banned from the hotel that's closest to Essen for the rest of your life.
I felt bad, and I tried to book with them in future years, but that's where I found out that I was banned.
Yeah, they
So-
did. Like, they very politely tell you to like,
Yeah, I
F
don't
off
wanna-
in the nicest way possible.
No, I don't want to get into it. But so where do you usually stay, Daryl?
Well,
I know the answer already.
I was always at the Atlantic until that experience, and usually, as most people know, I always stay at a Marriott. That was my exception. That was the one hotel I broke the rule. But instead, I was like, well, I'll go back to Marriott. So I stay usually at the Sheraton. This year, I'm trying out the Residence Inn. There's a few options. There's the Moxie as well. So those are always options that I like. And I don't know, Beneeta, where do you usually stay?
I like staying at the Sheraton. It's like a really quick, like either cab ride or just a simple metro ride. Like it's like a few stops and they drop you right off in front of the convention center. Also, the Sheraton generally includes a really good breakfast in the morning, where we will talk about food later. But like, let's talk about Essen convention food. I definitely like to have breakfast in the morning.
I agree. I've visited that breakfast quite a few times. It's lovely.
It's very good. Yeah.
There's quite a few really nice sites in the Essen area unrelated to the convention, and in our geekiness section, we'll talk more about the Essen Spiel convention itself. So Essen has a big history of coal mining. It's actually been declared the energy capital of Germany. It is in the Ruhr area, which has been historically coal mining. And what's really cool is there's a section called the Zollverein Coal Mine Industrial Complex, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a fantastic museum about all this history, and it's got good food around it as well. Additionally, Essen has this really cool Airbus A320 flight simulator that you can use. You can sign up and obviously you pay, but it's at the Essen-Mülheim airport, and you can run an A320 airplane on this really massive simulator. It's very cool. Essen is just filled with neat history. It has the oldest Madonna statue in the world. It's called the Golden Madonna of Essen, and it was made in the 800s. It's really amazing. And Museum Folkwang is an amazing museum right in Essen. It got Vincent van Gogh and Pablo Picasso, and it contributed to Essen being designated as the European Capital of Culture back in 2010. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, yeah. So that is most of the stuff in Essen as far as the sites and the hotels.
Yeah, I mean, the only other site that I would mention to highlight is the Christmas market. I know for some years, sometimes we would catch kind of the end of the beginning of the Christmas markets. My wife's a huge fan of European Christmas markets, and so that has always been a lot of fun to see at the end when that's one of the reasons I'd be tempted to go back to Essen is during kind of the Christmas season. So that's definitely another potential highlight, and beyond that, obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Spiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other neat one that I forgot to mention is the Kettwig Historical District. It's a 17th century town sitting on the outskirts of Essen. Really worth going to.
Ooh, that sounds
it's
awesome.
An amazing kind of little historical version.
Didn't know that one. Cool.
Yeah, I haven't been to that.
Well, let's go on and hit food and drink.
Food and drink, we all love those. I'm going to start with, Corey mentioned the Fitzpatrick. That's a very go-to spot where we have been to many times. I've actually eaten there 4 nights in a row, not by choice, but because many publishers host parties at that venue.
Yeah,
really funny. Last year I did 4 in a row.
Yeah, so I've probably been there one too many times. I like the food at the Hudson, which is connected to it. But my plug for like German traditional food in the neighborhood actually is Zumbrenner. That's one of my favorite spots if you're looking for like kind of some affordable traditional German food. I know Beneeta, we went to a really nice one.
Is that the one we went? Was that
no? So that was another spot. We went to a beer garden.
Yes, we did.
That was with Maestro Media, I think.
Yeah, so one of the places that we went to, it was called sorry for my German pronunciation. It was called the Jagdaus Schlenberg Beer Garden. Someone else can pronounce
better than
that
me.
If they want to.
That was good.
So it has like you drive up and it's like this beautiful view of the valley in Essen, and it's really nice. And you order like a few courses, and like we got like a simple steak frites, but it was so good and so like perfectly done. And like one of the highlights for me was the dessert. And they did like a lovely creme brulee, which in my opinion, creme brulee should be hot, like a crispy caramelized top, but like hot custard. Like 2 days ago, I had a creme brulee that was cold, and I'm like, this is not a real creme brulee. But the creme brulee at the Schomburg Beer Garden was perfect.
Yeah, I remember
that. Now, wait a minute. It's the Jagdhaus Schellenberg Beer Garden.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
Well, and talking about that spot, I mean, I'm going to mention some local, easy, within walking distance of the the subway stops, but that place was a kind of a 10-minute drive, and if you're looking for like really fancy food, we did find 3 one-star Michelin restaurants, but they're all kind of within a 10-15 minute drive. So I want to give them shout outs. Again, I'm going to butcher their pronunciation, but Corey, please feel free to correct me. But Shota. Okay. All right. Well, Nelson Mueller, the chef there, does some really nice tasting menus. They're known for actually rotating their menu every 6 to 8 weeks. It's kind of the thing in the area. They do a tasting menu Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But the whole idea there is, for approximately 150 euros, you can do like a multi-course meal with a nice wine pairing. Similarly, if you weren't going to go there, Kettner's Kamote, which is a Austrian-Japanese fusion, but again,
Kettner's Kamota.
Yeah, so Kamota, thank you. They as well rotate their menu. Chef Jorgen Kettner is known in the region for being really about spices and thinking about ways to, mix the world with the local produce. And then again,
Hanapal.
Thank you. That one again is similar to when we were, the place Beneeta was mentioning. It's also another 10-15 minute drive east. And they're known not only for having, phenomenal multi-course meals. I was looking up, like they do a lobster with lavender and smoked eel and interesting things like that. But they also have a really delicious vegetarian menu. So you can do an interesting multi-course meal with vegetarian options for friends that need that. So those are some of the highlights of kind of the fancy types of foods. Yeah. I don't think of, Essen necessarily as my mecca for go-to expensive foods. Actually, I'm all about kind of trying to find some good cheap eats. So one of my favorite tips that I tell people about is China Bros, which is a hot pot spot right downtown.
Amazing.
It's all you can eat. I think it's 17 euros. And my favorite thing to highlight as I'm going to sound very North American here, is unlimited soda, which is not a thing you're going to find in Europe, but you can get all the soda you want, which is like my one meal to just pound those down.
Unlimited refills is not a thing. And like, as someone who grew up in North America, I want my unlimited refills. Just something you need to know.
Corey,
Corey, what's one of your favorite go-to quick cheap eats?
I do want to apologize for 2 things. One, you can tell I'm in an airport lounge, so I'm muting out the background music, which is delightful. So you probably hear that popping in and out. And 2, I'm not great at German pronunciation, but I think I'm the most qualified of the 3 of us.
Oh yeah,
you win.
So I'm doing my best. But one of my favorite places to go to in Essen is a restaurant called Traumkuh, which it literally translates to cow dream. And it is a restaurant that serves poutine in Essen with an with a Japanese decoration. It has a giant cherry tree in the middle of the restaurant.
No.
And it was my go-to interview spot. I interviewed Frank West, designer of Isle of Cats, in Traumpu, and I thought that the food was pretty good. It wasn't really a poutine. It was French fries with stuff on it. But
don't call that a poutine. As a true Canadian with my Mountie on my hat, that's sacrilege.
It's not real poutine. One of my really go-to spots is close by the convention center, and it's just a simple burger place. There's burgers, and it's called Hans im Glück, like the board game company, which also one of the reasons why I like going. And yeah, it's a chain restaurant, and it's just they have a lot of vegetarian and vegan friendly options, which is always good. And they have really interesting burgers. They don't just have a simple cheeseburger, a regular burger. They have a lot of chicken burgers, and they have really interesting toppings on it. And I think they do other types of food there. I've only had their burgers every time I go because the burgers are so good. But it's within walking distance, and it's relatively inexpensive. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I will also give a big caution because this has happened to me, and I don't want anyone else to suffer. But just do not go for Mexican food while in Essen. I
just need to interrupt here a little bit. It's just a very different Mexican food.
Oh, I'll tell you different. I went to a Mexican restaurant and I asked for chips and salsa, and they said, "What's salsa?" And then offered when I asked, "What sauces do you have?" They offered mustard, barbecue sauce, ketchup. So,
that's not salsa.
No. Don't do just. There's lots of options. That's just not one of them. But if you've had a good meal, where should you end your, after meal snack, Corey? I know you're my go-to for this.
I have very strong opinions about this. The gelato in Essen is incredible. Really? So there's two competing gelato places that I think are very good. There's Märchen's Ice, and there's Sorelli's. I personally kind of like Märchen's. I've been there more often, and they have two things that are amazing. They have a gelato that is Mozartkugel flavor, and if you haven't had a Mozartkugel, it's the most amazing little chocolate truffle you've ever eaten. It has pistachio marzipan and regular marzipan and light chocolates, dark chocolates, and a little bit of liquor. So they're gelato of that candy.
Wow.
And then, if you go to any gelato place, you have to try Waldmeister. It's a flavor in Germany that you'll never have had if you're from America or North America. And it is made from an herb called the sweet woodruff. Don't look it up too much. It is a poisonous herb, but don't worry about that. It's a green ice cream with a very unusual, unique kind of herbal flavor to it. But you have to try it. It is really cool.
Yeah, I've had it actually, and it is a must try. Absolutely. So we've kind of talked about some of the fine dining that's kind of in the proximity. We talked about some good eats, very close by that you can grab. Obviously, we're going to highlight and talk about it in more depth during the geeky section, the Essen Spiel convention or fair. But while we're in the food section, I would be remiss if I didn't point out a lot of people are used to really bad food at conventions. Very difficult to get food that you usually have to leave. One of the beautiful things about Spiel is that there are some food options in the hall. Now, our German friends will say that it's still not good food, but in comparison to what North Americans are used to, it is phenomenal options. And it's nice to be able to get food when you need it, when you're hangry, and not that you have to leave and come back. A few highlights. My number one that everyone knows, because I take a picture every year, is with my spiral potato.
Yes.
It's so good. Get that
Kartoffeln.
Oh, okay.
The kartoffel. It's so nice. They just cut it in the spiral, spread it, and fry it.
Yeah, it's so good. I found them in North America. They're not as good. They've perfected it. There's some great food options. There's actually cafes within some of the halls, like Hall 3 has a cafe. There's a business lounge that offers food and drinks. There's a galleria, which is like a long hallway that connects most of the halls that's full of food trucks. And so there's lots of debate of which are the best ones. Personally, I love the crepes. And then, you get some of that Nutella on there.
Oh,
thank you very much.
I love the crepes as well. My personal favorite, I get a crepe with marzipan and banana.
There you go.
Oh,
I love the
that sounds
banana on
really
there.
good.
If you're an exhibitor, you can sneak into the hall early and get a coffee and a crate
There you
before it
go.
all fills up. I live for that.
Really good
But
tips there.
I'll
So
tell you,
what's your
favorite,
go-to though, Corey?
It's called Baumstritzel, and it's a chimney cake originally from Romania. What they do
I've
is
never
they take
had that.
Oh, you gotta find it.
It's
It's
massive.
a metal rod, and they
Yeah.
wrap sweet pastry dough around the rod, and the rod
Yeah.
cooks the pastry. Then they slide the whole thing off and sprinkle it with whatever topping you want: cinnamon, chocolate.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe
And it's like a
had
crispy,
this. Okay.
flaky. Oh, it is. So
Yeah, I've
good.
had them in Prague. I remember that was the first place that I kind of interacted with them, but I've
Yeah, because
seen
it
them.
came from that area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're delicious. So there's that. There's sweet stuff, but also the region's really known for. I know there's a battle. Beneeta, do you want to tell us what is kind of one of the go-to German battle foods?
So we can't talk. We got to talk about the currywurst. So there is definitely a raging debate. Like, what is the home of the currywurst? Is it Berlin or Essen? Generally, if you don't know what currywurst is, it's like a sausage and curry ketchup. I don't really like it, but
I like it.
Sacrilege. It's the best way I've ever had a hot dog, and it's got the curry stuff on it.
I know, paprika, spice, yeah.
But it's very
the best
different.
way you've ever
the
had
Berlin
a hot
version
dog?
and the Essen version are really, that's a fight.
Yeah, and it's chopped up. It's just an easy. The standard's low. We're talking about hot dogs here, right? So
okay, but we had an amazing hot dog in Copenhagen. I think that's the best way to have a hot dog, not a currywurst.
That's fair. And Corey has claimed that Iceland has a better hot dog. So
I agree. The Iceland hot dog is a little better.
So I'm going to try to compare there. I do know Corey and I agree on this, though. One of the best foods to get anywhere in Germany is a doner kebab. It's just a great go-to in the hall. One of my favorites late night that's open until 3 a.m. is right across from the train.
I'm just going to interject there that the doner in the hall is fine, but all of the donors you get outside the hall are better.
They're better. It's still a great option in the hall.
Transcendent.
Yeah.
I
know Beneeta has strong feelings about them too.
Yeah,
though.
I have a lot of strong feelings about
so
food,
the
and you need
donor,
to be aware.
If people don't know, a donor is a synonym for a hero in most of America. And I know it's usually called doner up in Canada, but heroes, kind of the same thing. It's a Turkish version.
Yeah. But if you're used to from other places, the sauce that the one specifically in the convention center is like a sweet sauce. It always kind of feels like a Thousand Island dressing sauce. So I was not expecting that. So I was very hungry and I bit into my doner and it was so sweet. And I just need everyone to be warned. That is what you're going to get if you order a doner kebab.
We'll just ask for the sauce
outside the convention, there's a lot of choices, and there are spicy sauces outside the convention.
Yeah.
I will give a shout out for sweet sauce. I'm not naturally that way, but I will say that in Canada, if you ever come to like Halifax or the East Coast, that's how they do they call it a doner, and it is a sweet sauce. So especially my East Coast Canadian friends, you will love it. But it is a great warning from Beneeta because some people get real surprised and that really changes their experience. So be warned.
It was shocking.
Yeah. Talking about late nights, the doner is my go-to when I need something to, last meal at 2 a.m. But where am I until 2 a.m? I have two obvious places that you can find me. You're either going to find me at the Doctera cocktail bar, which is open on Wednesday, which usually there's nowhere else open on a Wednesday. So I'm usually there on Wednesdays, sometimes on Sundays, although I think they're closed now on Sunday. Sometimes they reopen during Essen Spiel. But they have one of the greatest mixologists, makes incredible drinks. I was just on their Facebook page and noticed that they even have, like, for instance, right now, a homemade strawberry puree with strawberry rum made with lime, some almonds, and a strawberry rose foam. That's an example of they call that the Scarlet. They make incredible drinks. They have a creme brulee drink. Talking about creme brulees, it tastes exactly like a creme brulee in a cocktail. Apple pie that's like a cocktail. All kinds of variety. And then your traditional go-tos. Anything that you can kind of think of in a traditional tiki bar, they serve. I know you've been with me, Beneeta.
Yes, the apple pie drink, which sounds like not like a like a cocktail. It's so good. Like, if you go there and get the apple pie drink, it's great.
It's very sweet. So, that's an example of mix up your drinks, know what you like. But then my favorite all-time place, I would not go to Essen and not spend time at, is the Menehune. It's my home away from home. Nanny Nix, the bartender, I am Facebook friends, and we talk all the time and share pictures of our journeys. She is
Hasn't
the
she opened it just for you?
She has. Yeah.
She has.
She asked me.
That just
She actually asked
cracked
me
me up.
last week if she should open Sunday just for us, and I said, "Well, let's figure it out." They only open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. 3 days a week she is open, but they are the greatest host. We have had some wonderful nights there. They open technically at 7 p.m. And technically close at 3 a.m. Although I have been there all night, and they just stay open until the last person leaves. And my favorite all-time story that I have to share is my friends Dougal and Rich. At the time, they were working for Hasbro, and at the Menehune, they convinced Nanny to stop being the bartender and let them be the bartender, and that they would pay for all drinks for the rest of the night. So literally, Hasbro took over the bar, and Nanny sat down and enjoyed and watched and supervised.
I love that.
But I've had a night where it was on Hasbro, and it was an awesome night. So those are some of my favorite memories from the area, especially from the cocktail bars. But we didn't talk about in detail the breakfasts. When I think of breakfast in Essen, there's actually a family that I always think of, and is our go-to.
I'm lucky enough to have gone to those breakfasts. I'm with you.
It is an amazing time. Poof, out of nowhere, magically, our guest is here with us, Ilka. Just a quick little introduction. I know you're not one for being poofed up or being presented on high, but I think you're one of the most amazing humans. I'm so excited to have you on our show. Lives in Dusseldorf, but just next door to Essen. Knows the region
I love
well.
you more, Ilka. Don't listen to him. I love you.
We'll fight. We'll fight it out. Ilka is part of the Luza family with Dave and her son Bo. And they've all been part of our Essen breakfasts before. You can find them on the Happy Luza YouTube channel. Please check them out. Subscribe. They often will be streaming on Twitch, usually on Sundays. You can find them playing community games. I've been on those, watching on those streams and participating, Codenames, Roll Rights, you name it. Lots of fun. Also, you'll see Ilka and especially Dave part of This Game is Broken and being part of the comedy podcast. They come by it naturally because they're so talented, because Ilka is a professional actor and, is been on many a stage. Right now is doing some pretty cool stuff, which I want to hear more about, prevention theater for children, bringing awareness of sexual abuse. And you even recently won an award. Could you tell us about that first, and then we'll jump into some questions. But first, what award did you win?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that introduction. I'm not sure I can live up to all of that. It's not me per se, me personally, but the company won one of the most important awards for German, child protection. Yeah. And it's like we have now a sign of approval that we can put on our product, and that people, because it's an underfinanced niche, so to speak. So we rely on donations and stuff like that. And so that is a really cool thing to get. That's why it was so important.
I love it. I love that's going to give you more, oomph to be able to promote it and get support and get more eyes on it. We're really excited about that. That's not the only thing you're part of, though. I know you also do you're part of a creator event at Essen. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're very excited. It's for the second time, and let me look it up so that I can say it correctly. Yeah, it's the Meet and Play. That's going to take place on Saturday. It's starting at 2, I believe. We will join at 3. I'm not entirely sure of the location, but we will put it on the socials, and you'll find out.
I know where it is, because I will also be there, Ilka.
Yes,
I will
good.
So I will tell you, it is. It's in my calendar.
It's a beautiful location.
You are our expert when it comes to social media, so we're putting the experts combined.
It's in the Europe Hall at Essen. It's in the Europe Hall.
Cool.
And the beauty is that it's a bit away from the busy halls, like from the trade stuff. So you can really sit down. Last time we brought lots of snacks, too many, so we actually gave some away afterwards. It was amazing. You can just sit down, put your feet up, play a game, and it's not loud. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm excited to go there.
It's really relaxing.
Ilka, tell us something about Essen that we probably don't know.
Yeah, well, you were all so well informed. I've learned things that I didn't know. And the most fascinating thing about Essen is that I grew up there.
Hey,
whoa.
Fun fact.
Until I was 10, I lived in Essen-Werden, which is one of the most beautiful parts of the city. It's got an old cathedral. I believe, I don't know, I might have to look that up, but I think the Golden Madonna might be in that cathedral.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's, it's old. It's like Ken Follett's old. It's like old, and it's beautiful. And so what I want people to know about Essen is that it's one of the greenest cities we have in Germany. Wow. I think 62% of the city are like parks and green.
Oh wow!
Absolutely.
So, and if you want to enjoy that, right behind the trade halls, there's the Gruger Park.
The Gruger Park.
It's a really cool park. There's a little train going through it. You can go on that. It's got a beautiful, like a rose garden, an herb garden. So if you want to like relax your ears for a bit, that's the place to go to.
That is such a good tip, and it's just a beautiful park. I remember literally the first moment that I first got to Essen, I had landed, I checked into the Atlantic Hotel, and I walked into the park thinking that was a way to get into the Messe.
I know.
And I couldn't. This is a lot of years back. So I ended up walking the park, ending up in some underground street that had like parking, and I went through the parking lot. Yeah, it was a journey.
It's very interesting because there was a time when I couldn't find parking anywhere, so I parked actually behind the park, so you can walk through that. And there's, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's not open anymore, but there's a really cool outdoor pool there also with a wave pool, which is very unusual for Germany because we don't finance those anymore.
I love it.
It's beautiful, and that's what I love about the city the most. If you want to, there's one tip that I could add in Werden.
Yes,
Weerden is there's a little island, the Breeminsel, and the public transport is very easy to get there, and it's a beautiful little island that you can walk through. It's really, really cool.
I apologize. I know I was asked favorite tradition.
I know what's happening.
I was passed the most delightful note that we have a fan just sitting right behind who wanted to subscribe. Is Kirsten is like saying everything we're talking about is great. A native German speaker said everything sounds fantastic. Said don't forget Tom Kuchen from Leipzig and Kaiserschmarrn from Austria. So
oh my gosh, I love that!
Oh my goodness.
I love it.
My favorite tradition with Essen Spiel is it is a very regimented spiel. So it opens at a certain hour and closes at a certain hour. But the exhibitors kind of hang out and have a party and have some drinks and after close. And it's got such a personal kind of close atmosphere after hours, which that's my favorite tradition with it. It's just lovely.
I was
Ilka, how about you? Do you have a favorite tradition or event or ritual that you do during Essen?
I mean, I have to. You already mentioned it, Daryl, and I know you don't believe it, but I still get starstruck around you because you're awesome, and I'm such a big fan of your work. No, I mean it. I really mean it. I'm sorry, Corey, Beneeta, you're awesome too, but Daryl is like, for me,
I agree.
you're like,
Daryl's way better. Yeah. Daryl's like Corey 2.0.
I'm looking at your game. It's right over there. And it happens to be there. I didn't put it there, but it's the breakfasts we have are so important to me, and I always try to I found a good place now that we can go to. I'm not going to tell here because I want to keep it secret.
Right. Maybe down the road. Maybe in the future.
I'll tell you. Yeah, exactly. But that I really love. And then, I mean, the after show parties, if you want to, are so cool. It's really, I was lucky enough to organize It's so unique, and I organized the De Beer event last year, the Formosa event, and it's just the length that people go to for these events are amazing.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and I love that creates an atmosphere of just people enjoying being around each other and celebrating just human connection, because that
Exactly.
end of the day is why we fall in love with things like board games. Is just it's all about the people, and so I Spiel draws me every year as a general. Our breakfast is one of my, as I've mentioned, favorite things to do.
Yeah.
But why would anyone go to Essen when it's not the Spiel? Is there other reasons to visit? Any suggestions? Any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the art. The Volkwang Museum is one of the best museums we have in Germany, honestly. I believe, I'm not entirely sure, you'd have to check that, but I think there's some free nights that you can go to there.
Absolutely.
This sounds silly, but shopping in Essen, in the city center, is pretty amazing.
It's a
Everything
shopping
is really
spot.
close by. Yeah, it's a really good shopping town. I grew up there, so that was like the Christmas market. That was a really dear tradition to us.
Yeah.
And the Rüttenscheider Straße, which is very close, where all the Traumkuh, which is
such lovely restaurants.
All those places are there. Yeah,
it's all peppered up.
There's some really, really cool shops there.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That might be something. Yeah.
No, lots of good tips. We love having an expert with us that we can go to, and we are gonna have you come back for our last question. So we really appreciate, Ilka, that you're willing to join us and hang out and give us that expert point of view. But you're not done yet. We're going to bring you back for our last question. But we have one more section. You've really triggered, our next topic, which Beneeta is going to teach us what are some of the geeky things to do around the city. So thanks, Ilka. We'll see you soon.
See you later.
Okay, so we are getting to Essen Spiel, but there's some notable highlights of Essen that I wanted to talk about. We have the slab for the Ruhr, which is Corey and Daryl talked about this earlier, that it is a coal, Essen is a coal industry, and for a long time they had a whole hill of debris, and they changed it, put a greenery over it, and then created a big slab to document that history, which I think is really fascinating. Essen also hosts the International Short Film Festival, which showcases a lot of the best short films around the world. It also has a Airbus A320
Sorry,
simulator.
I forgot it. I talked about the Airbus simulator when we did the sites in there. It should have been the geekiness. I took away your thunder. My apologies.
No, it's okay. I mean, it sounds really fun, and I wanted to just mention it. But and the last thing we want to talk about is there's a guided tour in the dark. It's called Adventure Darkness that you can do. But let's be real. Why are we going to Essen? Why are the three of us going to Essen? We're going because of the Essen Spiel, the International Spieltage Spiel, often called the Essen Game Fair. It's been held in Essen, Germany. Spieltage. There you go. Spieltage. I call it Essen. I call it Spiel. There is that's generally how it's referred to. It's been happening in Essen, Germany since 1983. And it is, a game fair. It celebrates tabletop games, board games, card games. And in 2024, it's projected to break 200,000 attendees. And I want to be clear, it is turnstile. It is not individual people. It is
exactly
how people come in. So just to clarify that, for example, if the same person comes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that would be considered 3. So it is a little different of how to calculate attendees. So I just wanted to make that very clear. And so Spiel is ginormous. It is Essen Convention Center is huge, and it is connected of a bunch of halls. And there are generally 7 halls where there are exhibitors from all over the world. And in the last few years, they've been theming a lot of the halls. So we have a few halls will be dedicated to family games, while some halls will be expert games, RPGs, trading cards, and miniatures. So it's like kind of good. So like if you're in Essen for like miniatures, then you'll know like this is the hall for you.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, especially with the new leadership of really organizing the hall in really smart ways and some clever ways to group things. So in the past, an RPG would just be mixed in with something versus now, like there's a section or an area so that you really feel like you can kind of see all the options that you want for that. Another area that I want to highlight
that also coincided, just to put in there, Essen recently switched ownership from a family-owned business to a convention-owned business, and that's when they reorganized the halls, and I think it's a good move too.
Yeah, Carol Rupp, the president, and her team have done a really phenomenal job. One of the groupings they've done that I think has been really special is actually they've put the manufacturers together, and what that has created is like a really great opportunity for anyone who's researching or thinking about even crowdfunding their first ever game. This is an example of a space where you have all the industry experts close proximity to each other. They have these great little kits where you can see what kind of production capabilities they have, what kind of designer sample boxes, and so that people can connect. And that has really opened the world to people being able to make a game. It is risky to make a game, so please, don't mortgage your home or do anything like that. But if you have a passion and a dream, it can be really hard to break in. And if you have a practical goal and you want to find some answers along the way, that room is full of some of the best game manufacturers in the world, all there and happy to answer questions. So that's one section of the hall that I think people don't even think about. If anything, sometimes they avoid it because I want to buy games. But there is this great area just north of Hall 3. Sometimes they renumber them, so I get lost. But north of Hall 3 is, and I think Hall 4 this year, there is always a ton of that going on.
And, that's a really good tip, especially if you are trying to start your own publishing company or your own designer. But a tip, if you are a consumer like me of board games, is pre-ordering. Pre-ordering for Essen Games is very big, and especially some of the companies like Plate, which is a Korean company, where they bring a limited amount of games. And if you want those, and I would recommend pre-ordering them, and then you can just pick up the game at your leisure, and you'll know that this game that you want will not run out. And I want to talk about, there is obviously there's always a BGG Essen preview, and it is great. My favorite is called the Tabletop Together tool, because it includes everything, even including the games that maybe people did not submit to BGG. And the most importantly, it organizes it by halls. You can print out your list and you'll know hey, these are the 6 games from Hall 3 that you want, or these are the 15 games from Hall 7 that you want. And
that's what I'm going to be looking through on my million-hour flight.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It does also tell you the cost of everything, meaning it will calculate how much is on your wish list, and it's a horrifying number. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Really good tip with the app. This Spiel also has an app which is getting better and better each year, so I do give them a plug for that. But I'm with you 100%. The ability to sort by hall. I'll tell a story a little later why I wish that existed back in the day, but it is a game changer. Same with the pre-orders. Games do sell out often, within the first hour. And sometimes some companies are getting better and better of allocating each day, because also a lot of people don't come for every day. It's very popular to skip Sunday or to even just come for 2 days. You'll notice actually when you buy passes that they will sell them in packs of 1, 2 day, or 4 day. And the 2 days are very popular, or buying a 2 day and a 1, so that people can shorten their trips and make sure that, they can afford it the way that they want.
Another tip is that not every place, I think this is from a North American perspective, we're so used to using our credit cards at conventions to buy games. A lot of places will only just accept cash. And so I would recommend it. Bring more cash than you might have been expecting to bring with you, because a lot of like publishers only will take cash if you want to buy their games, and that is like not a pleasant surprise. There are ATMs scattered around, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. A little tip, especially if you're not into crowds, you can get a little claustrophobic, or just in general conventions, feeling stuck inside so much. Ilka already gave that super tip about the park behind. So like maybe go take a breather, go use the park. But also there's these little shortcuts all between all the halls where the trucks, they're loading docks, but people actually go out and stand in those. And so it's a great way to avoid the crowds a little bit, get some fresh air. Some of them have little sneaky hidden away things. I'll give away one of my favorite secrets because I did do the food segment, but also between halls 2 and 3, there's a really great German food stall outside that is one of my favorite spots. So use those halls to get away from the crowds and get some fresh air.
My quick tip for doing Essen, for people who have traveled from North America or long plane journeys, you don't need to bring your clothes home.
Okay, this is where Corey and I will strongly disagree.
I have actually left all of my clothes in a hotel room in order to fit all the games that I bought in my suitcases.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, I will pay extra overweight fees. I have definitely done that. Pro tip: if you are bringing a lot of games back, take the components out. Bring baggies. Bring your Sharpie. So because don't make the mistake I did, where you just don't remember what components belong to which games. Because oftentimes airplanes will not weigh your carry-on, but they will weigh your check-in bag. So you put all the heavy bits into your carry-on. So your check-in bag, you don't have to pay that overweight fee. Learn from my mistakes.
There is also a post office in town. I have visited multiple times. Don't count on doing it on Sunday, so be proactive.
There's a shipping company within Spiel itself, but it is kind of overpriced. So in town, it's going to be a better deal.
Yeah. So you have options. So please utilize those services. Decide what's the most important to you. If you're like Corey, leave your clothes behind. Or Beneeta,
don't fly naked. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the airline, but on that note, I think we're into our final question.
Yeah. So we're gonna bring Ilka back on for our final question. Hello,
welcome
Ilka.
back, Ilka. I missed you.
So. We have to.
Can I give one tip?
Sure.
Sorry for interrupting.
I know
I'm very mad that there are no fountains. You can't fill up your water like you can in most of North American fountains. I just want to say, it sounds weird, but the bathroom water is fine. You can drink it. Wipe it maybe before the faucet, but then you can fill your bottle. But the German water from the bathrooms is drinkable and fine.
Yeah, that's a really good tip because like they sell so many water bottles and you don't need to do that. Just fill up your water bottle in the bathroom. I do it all the time too. It's great water.
Great.
So we want to ask everyone, what game is your most memorable Spiel purchase? But we're gonna have Ilka think about her question. So Corey, what was your most memorable Spiel purchase?
Wow. I really remember buying Cooper Island at Spiel. I was very excited about it. Oda's one of my favorite designers because I got in line early having an exhibitor badge. I bought it, and then Stella from the Dice Tower came by, absolutely upset that they had run out. So I actually gave Stella my copy of Cooper. And then later I met up with Oda and he said, "Oh, do you need one? Here's another one." And then I ended up giving that one away as well.
Of course
I did end up with a copy of Cooper Island, and it's still one of my favorite games, but I still remember just this mad exchange of Cooper Islands all over the place.
That's hilarious.
Corey, you are such a generous man. That's what it is.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my answer to this is actually like when I had to go purchase 250 games. So I was a mule. So the very first time I ever went to Essen Spiel, I didn't think it would ever be possible. To be honest, it felt like a faraway dream. And then I was approached by the organizers of Sasquatch, which is a convention in Seattle. And one of the organizers said every year they hire someone to go to Essen and buy their shopping list. And I said, wow, that sounds like a dream come true. I'll do that.
Oh,
I later found out that no one has ever done it twice. That should have been a sign. And that they're always looking for someone. So they were super generous. They put me up at the Atlantic Hotel, the closest hotel, which is a nice hotel. I don't stay there anymore, as discussed earlier, but my first experience, it was great. And crucial, because when you're buying 250 games, just think, trying to carry 5 of these games. I go like, I have 5. What do I do? Oh, I got to go back to my hotel room, drop these off, and come back. I'm not a thin man, so I had a lot of exercise in my future for 4 days. And then, as Beneeta mentioned, a pro tip: punching everything out, labeling everything, fitting these things into suitcases. I had 4 suitcases. I punched almost every game out. I shipped the boxes. I baggied the pieces and labeled everything. But just punching 250 games and labeling these things, I barely slept. And thank God for people like T, Odd Hack Welder. I mean, I have a list of humans that I forever owe because they sat in my room for hours just punching games while sitting and talking. And I spent every living hour either buying games or punching out games and bagging them. I had the delusion that I would get to at least enjoy Sunday. So I had scheduled meetings to see publishers on Sunday. Instead, I sat the entire Sunday in my room packing. So
I'm sorry, that sounds awful.
But I got to go to Essen, so that was my first.
But you got a free trip to Essen.
I had a free trip.
Did you
were physically there?
I was. I got to line up a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't even sound like a trip to Essen. So my Essen memorable story is much better. It's not horrifying. So one of my favorite card games is No Thanks. It's one of the games I was introduced to like years ago, and I still love it to this day. But I have the really ugly like North American version, aka it's just numbers on a card. Fast forward, I'm in Essen. I'm at this lovely dinner with like Daryl and other people, and Kathleen Mercury sits next to me, and she pulls out a German version of No Thanks. She's like, "Hey, Beneeta, look what I got." And I was like, "What is this?" Because it is a German version, and it has art on it, and it has like stick figure art, and progressively from the numbers 1 to 35, like bad things are happening to this person, and it's hilarious. Like, like he's stepping on shit, or like a piano's falling on him. Okay, that sounds bad, but it's really funny.
We like that
version.
Yeah,
and it's
that's the only version I have is Geschenk.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, well, I need this. Like, I play No Thanks all the time. I will never not want to play this version instead, especially because like I already have like all the rules and everything. So my quest now the next day at Spiel is to hunt down this copy, but I didn't realize there are like dozens of versions of German No Thanks. So like I go to BGG, I take a screenshot of the version I want, and then they're in all around Essen. There are these like booths that are just selling like older games of like older German games for the most part, or just games in general. So I go to one booth and I was like, "Hey, do you have this version of No Thanks?" They don't. I go to another booth. Do you have this version of No Thanks? They don't. I end up doing this like almost like 6 times. And because there's so many of these booths, and I think I spent like almost 2 hours trying to find this like one very particular copy of No Thanks that came out years ago. But ultimately, I did find it. I did buy it immediately. They only have like 2 copies left. So like, thank God I found it. But yeah, and it makes me like so happy every time I play it because the art is incredible. And yeah, that was my like favorite Spiel purchase. And how about you, Elka? What was your favorite Spiel purchase?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because I'm usually not the game purchaser in the family. That's Dave, and he's good at that. So I don't want to be like, I don't want to add to that. So yeah. It's not a game, but it's this. I got this in Essen 2 years ago. Very spontaneously. There was a tattoo artist in the halls. This is my very first tattoo. I just sat down and was like, I want the Wonder Woman logo. Can you do that? That was it. She was never back. She never came back. Yes.
I want to add one really quick. One vivid memory I have from Essen is staying at Dave and Ilka's house the first year I went to Essen, eating pumpkin soup and playing a roll and write game that Z had picked up, and it was such an amazing time.
Oh yeah, we hosted all of you. Yes, that was amazing.
There was a bunch of us there, and it was incredible.
I made bread. I made pumpkin soup. Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So that was my purchase. It was.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love that. That was your purchase.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
So I think we're just about wound down now. Just if everybody could take a minute to talk about where we can find you, where you are on social media, where we can reach out to you. Ilka, where can we find you?
So I'm just Ilka Luza on the Facebook. I'm on Instagram as Luza Palooza. That's our Twitch channel, and I post stuff mostly about games, but sometimes about my work with children and other stuff. And yeah, that's where you can find me, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me on the Facebook, on the socials.
Oh my god! I'm killing
Beneeta. The interweb, the webs, the tubes. You can find me usually under my name, Daryl Andrews, sometimes with my middle initial M, Daryl Andrews, on Facebook, Instagram, all those kind of things. Especially if you're coming to Essen, let me know. I'd love to see you. It's a real treat for me to get to see people from around the world. If you're a designer, reach out. I organize a designer dinner. It might be full. I think there's about 30 of us. With Rita Modell helps me organize that. But even if it's not over a meal, just in passing, let's share a spiral potato or something. So yeah, please reach out to me.
Yeah, I'm Beneeta Kaur. You can find me at Beneeta _K everywhere. I will be doing my last stream before I head to Essen next week. And so you make sure you want to tune in for a stock exchange playthrough. And I will be at Essen too. And I will be at the creator event that Ilka was mentioning on Saturday in Europe Hall. But also, I will also be working at the Arcane Wonders booth, random hours. So maybe you won't find me there, but hit me up and we'll get coffee, or also spiral potatoes, because that's probably my favorite thing there as well.
And I'm Corey Thompson. I'll be there with some of the members of Above Board TV. We're not going to be filming, but we're going to be meeting and greeting and having, getting things organized. So if you see us at Essen, please come up. Again, Above Board TV on YouTube. I've also got DicetowerDish.com, where I do written interviews with designers over a meal. And I'm one of the co-hosts of Board Games Insider, which is just BoardGamesInsider.com.
And make sure you tune in next week. Same time, same place. It's every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yeah. Thanks, Lucky Duck, for sponsoring us.
Absolutely. Yes. Lucky Duck's the best.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.